welcome back to another episode of Community Lens. I am Erica Jones. I'm the Director of Membership and Outreach here with Somerville Media Center. And the goal of this show is to interview some of the great work that's being done by Somerville-based nonprofits and organizations and learn a little bit more about who they are, what their services or programs are, and find out ways potentially that some of the people living in Somerville can get involved and help support these efforts. So today we are discussing the awesome organization, the Welcome Project, which is based over in East Somerville. And we're going to talk with Warren and Angie about some of the programs that are happening there. And we're going to start with Warren and find out a little bit more of an overview if you want to talk about what is the Welcome Project.
Well, Erica, the Welcome Project's mission is to build the power of Somerville's immigrants, youth and adults, to shape and participate in community decisions.
That's a very important role. Why is it important for people to participate in these types of decisions?
Well, traditionally, immigrants have been excluded, or at least have not participated in community decisions. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to making a decision, people in government and other community shaping bodies might exclude the voices of immigrants. And so we want to make sure that the leadership in the city, and we want to build the leadership to make sure that community, that immigrants are included in decision making.
So it's a big role of empowerment, and similar to some of the efforts that we're doing here, amplifying often the marginalized voices and the unheard voices.
Absolutely.
Very important stuff. What are some of the flagship programs or services that the Welcome Project organizes?
Well, I'm going to go there, but also I want to emphasize that the Welcome Project has 3 or 4 staff, and so we rely on our volunteers to make sure that things happen. So that, for example, we have English classes, and we have 100 or 200 students of learning English that are taught by a dozen or so volunteers, and we are always looking for volunteers, and we would not be successful if we didn't have the grace and the power of having volunteers at the Welcome Project. So we have more than 200 students teaching learning English through the lens of leadership.
Wow. And there's around 9 classes?
There are 9 classes.
Do you have an idea about what is, I mean, this is always a complicated answer probably, but when we're talking about the immigrant population, how is that special to Somerville in terms of that history, and why really the need for the Welcome Project even exists?
Well, I mean, the Welcome Project got started. Our mission was very different in 1985 or in 1987 when we got started. And if you looked at the Mystic housing development where we're based, still based, there were almost no immigrants living there. That's an amazing thing to say and think about, that Somerville was so white working class at that time that there were almost no immigrants living at the Mystic.
Right.
And so so that's changed, but it was a long, slow struggle. And part of the reason it changed was that there was a court order, or at least a state mandate, to change it, so that the Welcome Project got started off of this mandate, and the Somerville Housing Authority actually gave us space, part of a 3-bedroom apartment, because they were under pressure to succeed.
Right.
And so, so that's the short story of the history of the Welcome Project. We lived at that time in a community of white largely white working class people, including at the Mystics.
Right. What are some other programs that are pursued by the Welcome Project that is a helpful resource for the community?
Well, Angie can talk about the Liaison Interpreters Program of Somerville, or LIPS, and take it away, Angie.
So LIPS is an organization where youth that are bilingual, that are fluent in their home language, like if they speak Spanish, Portuguese, they can actually use that for Somerville, and we get to go to events and interpret like specific things, like it's an event that some people went to with the Martin Luther King event. We also were able to be part of the Sanctuary City, the rally that was here, and we were volunteers there, and it was all nice to see things. So we get involved in the community. Besides just interpreting, it's more of like taking action and getting to know our community.
So actually, well, one question. Okay, so what is your role with LIPS?
My role with LIPS is a second-year student, so I get to lead the first years. I get to get involved in the community and interpret. So usually I take charge in like interpreting for the Spanish. I'm one of the 3 that I think 4 that are there. And in a total there's 7. The rest are Portuguese and 1 Haitian Creole speaker. And we all get to lead the first years and help them around with the community, and also let them be a leader to them and show them how like things are done, how are we able to like actually interpret, and like what are the good things that we should do, and just
That's
teach
awesome.
them the ways.
That's incredible. From a leadership perspective, like how have you felt like you've benefited from this?
I mean, I feel like I've been able to get it more in the community, like something that I didn't do before, like I'm able to do it now. It's also been helping me like think of my career, specifically what I want to do. And like they've been like, just the Welcome Project itself and everybody there has been like a family, friends, like it's somewhere I can be safe. So I feel like it's got me another place in life where I want to be.
That's beautiful. I love that. I'm an easily moved person. However, I think that's what it's about, and that's why organizations like the Welcome Project need to continue to exist and be supported. Since being in this leadership role, are there any stories that that come to mind that you feel like, wow, I'm really glad that I participated because I helped this effort?
I'd have to say the Somerville Gentrification Project, where we went to the classes that LIPS gives for people who don't speak English, and we gave them a survey about like how they're living in Somerville, like their costs and everything, and like because there's people who are getting pushed away from here because things are getting expensive, and I felt like doing those surveys like got me involved, trying to like understand more how it's going on, like what's the problem that's happening, and like how I can change that, and how there's people who are trying to change that.
That's powerful. It's a direct, you get to see a direct impact, which is, I think, rewarding with any sort of volunteer opportunity. However, do people with LIPS get paid if you have these opportunities?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a job that's like you don't require to do much, but you do, like once you do something, you do get paid, and like it's not mostly like the money that you're going for, it's more like the work that you're doing.
Of course.
Because like I feel more like pleased when I do actually something and like get a benefit out of it, like meeting people, than actually getting paid from work. But like it all isn't balanced.
You're not required to do much? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like you go to classes, you get paid for literally going to classes, but it feels more like if you decide to like actually take action in it, that's where you do more. If you actually want to be involved in the community, it's where you do more than just be there.
It sounds like you're doing a lot.
Not everyone understands how rigorous a program this is, because not everyone understands what it means to be an interpreter in the community. And so the interpreter training, it consists of how many hours?
So 20 hours, that's a lot of time.
That's
Like
just
also
for the
process, kind of everything that goes along with that, right?
Right.
That's just for the training.
That's just the training, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And how long has the LIPS program been incorporated into the Welcome Project?
Nah,
So
Since-
10 years or?
Yeah, 10 years.
Okay. Wow. And honestly, I did a profile on the LIPS program, I think, when I first started working here, which was half of that time, so almost 5 years ago. And I learned a lot about the LIPS program at that point.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
it was cool to hear the kind of the flow of folks who are participating in the LIPS program, because they're already sort of doing natural interpretations in their home, and that was kind of like a nice, like, you know, segue into life, right? Which you're talking about, maybe potential job opportunities and
Yep.
yeah. So it's interesting to kind of have that perspective. But is there anything else that other people should be aware of about the Welcome Project, and why anyone should be supporting these efforts, or maybe volunteer to get involved?
Well, I mean, I think there are a couple of things I'd like to say. One is that it's the Welcome Project, especially the LIPS program, but also the ESOL program, takes a strength-based perspective. You just alluded to this a minute ago. We were thinking about, at the creation of the program, we were thinking about what are the existing strengths that people, teens could be paid for.
Right.
In the community. So parents or teens often have this informal role of interpreting for their parents, and they're really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to show in the aggregate that this was a profession that was
Right.
worth money in reality. And so we drew on the strengths of youth interpreting in their families. On the English classes level, we're also trying to draw on strengths that people have, instead of, obviously people are learning a new language, but we're trying to feed into and have them recognize that they have inherent leadership strengths,
Right.
not imposed on them from some other place, but
Right.
rather in their nature, when we could build the skills that they already possess.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's already naturally, they're already stepping up anyways. So.
that's right. Yeah.
Anything that you'd want to share?
I'd also say like the programs that they have during the summer, where I volunteered for that, and I was able to be involved for, like, I think it was 3 total weeks, where I was able to meet kids from, like, the Mystic itself that I haven't met them before, and, like, get to just be involved in other things beside, like, you know, work, like LIPS program. I got to see, like, another side of, like, Mystic, and, like, how there's more kids that, like, they actually have, like, the diversity in the Mystic projects.
Right. There's a lot going on over that space that I think that a majority of Somerville have no idea, which is hopefully why we're doing this today, right? So we can get the word out about the Welcome Project. Thank you both for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And is there anything else? I mean, honestly, is there anything else that we want to talk about besides filming this right now?
And one last thing that people should know about, a program that's ongoing in the Mystic, is the homework help for kids, where it's from Mondays and Wednesdays after school, where kids get to have fun, do homework, and actually get help if they need it. And it's for free, so it's something that everybody should know about.
Awesome. I wish I had that when I was younger. I would have benefited. Okay, so the website is...
www.welcomeproject.org.
Okay. And that is where people can find out more information about these programs and ways that you can support and volunteer. Thank you again for joining. And on that note, have a great day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Thank you.